A short flight from Las Vegas, deep in the Nevada desert, lies Area 51. The CIA's secret. A huge clandestine base, it remained denied and refused by the United States, but in August of 2013, the CIA finally admitted that Area 51 was real. After 60 years of lying to us, they decided to come clean. Area 51 was created in 1955 for a single purpose: to test a top-secret aircraft. This was codename Aquatone, or the U-2. A plane designed to fly over Russia undetected. The government hides the facts about this aircraft. It announces that the super high-flying U-2 spy plane was going to fly out of a town called Watertown Strip, Nevada for weather operations. Documents obtained show that operation on the U-2 was interrupted by yet another top-secret government program. At the Nevada testing range, they began testing nuclear warheads. Area 51 was downwind from the radioactive fallout. Meanwhile, about 30 miles away lay the now unused top-secret runway. Even though Area 51 was closed due to nuclear fallout, the CIA decides to start yet another secret project, one that would define the future of Area 51. Today, the military aircraft fly with stealth technology. Back in the late 50s, the only way to avoid radar was by altitude. On May 1, 1960, the United States cover is blown when Russia used a surface-to-air missile and shot down the U-2 secret spy plane. We now know the CIA knew this might happen. The United States knew that Russian technology would catch up and might down a high flyer like the U-2. It was no longer feasible for the military to have an airplane that could fly twice as high as a normal aircraft. So the CIA starts a stealth program codenamed Project Rainbow. They wanted to camouflage the U-2, so the government attached material to the spy plane with a material that earned the name wallpaper. But with this wallpaper on the U-2, it could not fly as high, therefore making it a target for the government of Russia to shoot down. That is how Area 51 got its start. But how did it go from that to the UFO capital of the world? It starts with the Roswell incident. This is the official statement of facts by the government. In mid-1947, a United States Army Air Forces balloon crashed at a ranch near Roswell, New Mexico. Following wide initial interest in the crashed flying disc, the U.S. military stated that it was merely a conventional weather balloon. Interest subsequently waned until the late 1970s, when ufologists began promoting a variety of increasingly elaborate conspiracy theories, claiming that one or more alien spacecraft had crash-landed, and that the extraterrestrial occupants had been recovered by the military, who then engaged in a cover-up. In the 1990s, the U.S. military published 2 reports disclosing the true nature of the crashed object, a nuclear test surveillance balloon from Project Mogul. Nevertheless, the Roswell incident continues to be of interest in popular media, and conspiracy theories surrounding the event persist. Roswell has been described as the world's most famous, most exhaustively investigated, and most thoroughly debunked UFO claim. Then, ex-employees started to come out and tell stories about what goes on inside of Area 51. In 1989, a man named Robert Scott Lazar contacted the Las Vegas television station, CLAS, and claimed that he had been working as a physicist on the government's most highly classified project, Galileo, which involves back-engineering alien technology. The research took place at a hidden base there, referred to as S4. S4 is located circa 16 kilometers south of the famous Area 51, by the Papoose Lake. He stated that the craft he was shown displayed technology that was hundreds of years in advance of us. Bob Lazar would have worked on a flying saucer with a diameter of 9 to 12 m. It had a console, and the seats were small, almost made as for children. He was told that the aliens came from the 4th planet of the binary stellar system Zeta Reticuli 2. Lazar told in an interview that the alien craft fly by amplifying gravity waves. According to Lazar, the saucer was moved by a reactor placed on the floor. As fuel, the saucer would have an element with atomic number 115, or which cannot be synthesized on the Earth. The element is also the source of the gravity A wave, which is amplified for space-time distortion and travel. This kind of propulsion would allow to make the flying saucers invisible, and the disks do not need to travel in a linear mode. That means they can cover huge distance in very little time. In our physics, speed is defined as a distance divided by time. These disks operate by warping time itself and space itself. They break Einstein's famous rule that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. So, after Bob, over 500 former employees of Area 51 have come forward. This includes Wendell Stevens, who is a retired Lieutenant Colonel, United States Air Force, Robert Dean, Sergeant, United States Army, Phil Schneider, Connor Orion, Ron Garner, Dan Barish, who speaks about meetings between the United States and aliens. They talk of seeing aliens, they talk about walking in a door at S4 and being in Switzerland. Several employees have come out and said that an alien that they name J-Rod has been held alive at Area 51. We are going to be doing a lot of research for future videos. Please support us at www.thegovernmentidwat.com. We are now going to show part of an interview with Dan Barish, who talks about meetings with aliens and J-Rods.
And I'm very pleased to be with Dan Barish. Well, actually, I would like you to sort of give a brief introduction, who you are and what you're known for. Maybe what you'd like to be known for?
Aside from cantankerous activities and disobeying certain authority structures. No, well, I'm a microbiologist, a retired one now, but continuing somewhat the practice involved in a very unusual project called Lotus. I am a 20-year retiree from Majestic, first having been brought in 1986 under the auspices of the Committee of the Majority, and specifically working for the Majestic 12, assigned to Project Aquarius. I suppose I'm more known for meeting a J-Rod and working at S4. Aside from that, I don't really know what I'm known for, aside from irritating a bunch of people on the web that don't want to hear about me.
Okay, so you worked for Majestic, and you were basically, I mean, in brief, and I know there's a really long history as to how you ended. Lotus was an
accessory project. It wasn't, it was funded because everything that I was doing at the time was being funded ultimately by them. But it was an accessory project. It wasn't something of a critical nature for the Majestic, or as I believed for a long time. However, the principle of the Lotus ultimately ended up being a rather earth-shaking item for the participants at the T9 conference a couple of years ago.
What is the T9 conference?
During the course of speaking with extraterrestrials and our interactions with them from the 1950s onward, there have been a series of treaties established between we and they meaning a future human intelligence, time travelers. And there have been as a consequence of our relationship with them, there have been more than one treaty system in place. During the last of one of those treaty negotiation and signing times, I had the privilege of being in the presence of the negotiators at the conference, which was held in the state of New Mexico.
And there were how many aliens present at that time?
There were 2, 4, 6, and a few in the strollers behind the curtains. So we had
a few in I'm sorry, what was that reference?
They're unable to cope for long periods of time in our atmosphere, our present atmosphere. They've adapted, if you will, to the atmospheres of their particular future timeline, and as a consequence, coming here would be oppressive to them, existing in our standard temperature and our pressure. So they have been provided unique sealed off pressurized systems. that they would be moved around in by their attendants, basically on a Segway type transport system, where you can push it and it will actually move forward, very easily maneuverable.
I see. So that's what you meant by stroller
Right.
system.
Right.
Okay.
And so they were encapsulated in their strollers and their positions as negotiators for their time. And
Are you saying that these aliens that were present at this conference that happened, what, this year, last year? A couple years ago, in which they discussed, I'm assuming it was
between
the Lotus...
2003 and 4.
I'm sorry?
Between 2003 and 2004.
Okay, and they discussed the Lotus project.
It was brought up, and in fact, as part of the negotiations, the P plus 45,000 group of J-Rods wanted the codes for the Lotus Principle added into the treaty negotiations so that they could use it in their own attempts to ameliorate their particular neuropathies.
Wow. So
They
they
wanted
saw
to
the
use it.
value. They saw the value right away.
They saw a potential value for it, and they wanted to use it for that purpose. It was my argument that it should not be used for a particular purpose, that this is moreover part of a natural system which has been put in place by whatever God that one would want to deign as being the creator of the universe, as part of a natural system and not to be controllable by humankind.
Or by alien kind?
Well, they're humans. They're
okay,
human
you
lineage.
consider them humans.
They're humans.
Okay.
They're human beings, albeit different from what we would expect to see as a human being. But then again, if we look in the history, the presently accepted history of the evolution of humankind, if one were to walk into a conference held by Neanderthals, one would be taken aback. Well, in the same way, one may be taken aback by walking into a conference with these gentlemen.
Okay. So you've got two kinds of aliens, and people that are watching this, some people may have no idea about the T2, two timelines.
Probably not. We actually had three kinds of extraterrestrials, human lineage extraterrestrials present. Two kinds of P plus 45,000 years from now, if we were to translate over to timeline 2. Difficult subjects, aren't they? Two representatives from that time, two representatives from P plus 52,000 years ahead, J-Rods, both of which generally have the anatomical configuration of what would be in ufology called grays, gray aliens, and two representatives from P plus 52,000 Orions, who would generally, I guess, in ufological circles, I guess one could say, would be called Nordics or Tals.
Okay.
Who actually look more human-like, but have larger eyes, very blue eyes, blondish hair, etc.
I see. And, okay, well, of course I've got many questions on this score.
So do I.
But, and for people listening, we would also like to know, were there any reptilians present?
No, not per se.
Okay.
What I've come to understand, and it's generally held, I think I could say it's generally held within our society, that the notion of a reptilian is a misnomer. And I'm not saying that to apply a negative connotation to the stories that individuals have brought forward, probably mostly forthrightly. But that when you view or observe what would be called a gray, what I would call a J-Rod, the particular ruddy configuration of their skin, the changes of the sudoriferous glandular structure of their skin, can make them appear during exacerbations of the illness very reptilian in appearance, and also possibly praying mantis type in appearance.